think just a huge thanks to the parents who contributed to the report, and also those who told us their stories, which that's what the report is actually trying to deliver on, is listening to those stories and is hearing the experiences of children and families and how things have been going for them within the early years. At the moment we were looking at it, and over the past sort of 20 years or so, we know that children and young people are now living much longer with very, very complex conditions and all sorts of different disabilities. And at the same time, we've got this wonderful situation where we understand so much more about the therapy and the care that really delivers for the children. And then, beyond that, we understand really, really well now, the science tells us all about the early years, this whole concept of how we can rewire brains in the early years, this thing called neuroplasticity, where we can do so much for young people where they have difficulties and challenges. And beyond that, Scotland has got the fantastic commitment and entitlement to early years. And that, you would have thought, would be a beautiful blend. But unfortunately, what the parents told us is it just isn't working for those with the most complex disability, and we also know it's not just those with the most complex disability. We also know that cascades down, and it cascades down to all sorts of children and young people and families who are experiencing disability. So we thought that we would maybe try to do something to write this report, to try and explain that, to explain just to make people more aware how families are experiencing, they are not managing to get their entitlement to their early years, that even when they get it, it's often not in the place that they want it, it's not enough, it's inconsistent, it's not the quality that they want, it really is a challenge for them. And that could be said for those with complex medical needs, or for those with neurodiversity, autistic spectrum disorder, or those with other medical conditions. We hear that even with children who have more simplified medical conditions such as just diabetes or something, trying to get in there and get their early years experience. So we want to have a bigger conversation, and we want you guys to be really involved in this conversation going forward. We want to try and stimulate this discussion. We've tried to stimulate that, and we are talking to the Scottish Government about that just now, to try to keep the momentum going, to get this investment, a focus on the early years, to get an understanding of how we can deliver for Scotland in the early years for children with all sorts of disabilities, and for their parents who are experiencing so many challenges and so many demands on them, that they were telling us how much a struggle it has been for them to get access to their early years commitment. And this is going to follow through onto school. These children who we never saw in the numbers that we're seeing coming through in the early years, they are going to follow through into school age. And the model that we are trying to develop now can be rolled forward into school age as well. We're into a different world, I think. So we need to have a focus. We need to have a focus in Scotland. It should be able to be done in Scotland. There is a big commitment in Scotland to children and the early years. It's some of the best policies in the world. We just need to deliver on them. And I think we're just trying to make a small contribution to that. What I'd say is it's not all doom and gloom there, and it's not, because I'm very optimistic that we can and we will do this. And the reason that we're here in Indigo Childcare is that we wanted to show that this can be done and has been done, and it can be done well. And Jacqueline will maybe talk a wee bit about that and Jacqueline's experience here and a sort of mainstream early years provision and how to manage to work with children with most complex needs.
Cheers, Bob. Thanks very much. It's lovely to have you all here at Indigo. I think, as Bob says, it is possible. It's absolutely possible. And you know, we are delivering that service here in Indigo, and we're delighted Ruben's dad's been able to come along. But Ruben's not the only child with complex needs that we've had in our service. We've had children across the years in our service, and that's very much down to a cultural commitment within the organisation to say, actually, every child is entitled to a place here. And if they come along, then it's a case of us saying, what do we need to do in order to be able to meet not just the child's needs but the family's needs? Because what we know is in early years, if we really want to make a difference, if we really want to see positive outcomes, it's about supporting the child, of course, during their time in nursery, but we have to support the family. And if we don't do all of those things, then the outcomes, the positive outcomes that we can achieve are very short term. They're only in the time that the children are with us here in the nursery. And those aren't the kind of outcomes that we're looking for. At Indigo, our commitment is to outstanding quality. And we know that being able to meet the needs of some of our more complex children isn't always straightforward. It's not always easy. And part of that's down to the infrastructure around us. And that's part of the reason that we wanted to be part of this whole approach to things, is to change that infrastructure, change the mindset of people to one of, what can we do? What do we need to do? As opposed to one which at the moment probably feels a little bit like fear, uncertainty and lack of knowledge and information. But what we also know is that what we're doing just now is very much down to good, robust relationships. And that's not a recipe for systemic change. That's not a recipe for long-term, lasting change. And we need to do something different about that. And that's why we want to be part of this. It's also why we want to work alongside Craig Halbert, because we know that if we really want to have outstanding quality, we need to constantly be pushing at the edge of what's possible. And the only way we can do that is with expertise on hand, like the kind of expertise they have in Craig Halbert. But we want to be able to share that, because we know there's loads of really good nurseries out there who would be absolutely fabulous for lots of these children if they just had the confidence, the knowledge and the access to what they need to be able to do. And that's the difference we want to make. We want to know that children like Ruben or Lucy can go along to whatever nursery is in their local community and be welcomed with open arms. And the team in that nursery can be confident and know who to speak to and know where to get that kind of support. And that's why we're working alongside Craig Halbert. That's why we've taken part in the research and put the report together today. So that's really all I wanted to say today, other than to thank you all for being here. We've got two big asks of you. One is to share the report as widely as you possibly can, raise awareness about it, let people know that it is possible. It doesn't need to be terribly complex. Let people know that it's possible. Have a good look at the recommendations that we're making in there. We're really pleased that Scottish Government have been supportive of the work that we're doing here. And the Minister has indicated an interest in putting together a roundtable discussion. So if you're interested...
Just check if it's that Minister just now.
Oh, yeah. Which one? We're not sure. Might change. So if you're interested in taking part and being part of that discussion, then we've got a little sign-up sheet just on the table there beside the reports as well for you to pop your name down on. And we'd really love to be able to continue this conversation, and maybe in the not too distant future we'll be able to come back and celebrate the fact that there are significant changes happening, and that when children like Lucy and Ruben come along in years to come, they can actually access the entitlement that they deserve and that we know all children deserve in Scotland. Thanks very much.